This lighting be work. Welcome back to my channel. Can you believe it's almost May? But before that, can we talk about the lighting today in this video? Girl, my Becca Cosmetics highlighter is going crazy. It's living, it's breathing. I hope you're having an amazing highlight moment today as well. Today, we're featuring the cutest release from Sugarfina. They have this But First coffee collaboration with Alfred. This is not sponsored. First, they came out with the green juice. Next, they came out with this coffee cold brew, cutest packaging. I'm living. In case you don't notice, I was born and raised in Canada, but my family is from Hong Kong and most of my relatives are there. I actually moved back 2 years ago and lived and worked there for a year, and it was one of the most life-changing experiences that I've ever had. Today we're going to help you become more iconic, your life become more iconic AF, by telling you a little bit about me living in Asia and what I learned through my culture shock experience, and also how that actually enlightened me about Asian culture and also how I related to the world. It really allowed me a second opportunity to reevaluate how exactly I wanted to treat others in terms of cultural norms and social norms, how I wanted to be in those situations. Before that, I was really stuck to my identity as a Canadian Chinese, but after this experience, it really opened my eyes. Asia is a place that will always have a special place in my heart. So today we're going to talk about my experience living in Asia, specifically Hong Kong, and how that completely iconicized, if that's a word, opened up my mind, opened up my horizons, gave me more opportunities, all that jazz. So if you don't already, follow me on Instagram and Twitter under this, and subscribe so that you're kept in the loop for any new videos that are coming out. One thing that really surprised me about living in Hong Kong is how open-minded people are. I actually felt more supported and found that people were more willing to give you ideas on how to achieve these crazy goals of yours, more so than in Canada. For example, I'll give you an example. When I was starting my fashion lifestyle blog / YouTube / Instagram / anything social media 2 years ago, I was actually living in Hong Kong. And when I was there, I was bouncing the idea off of a lot of people who lived in Hong Kong and also my friends back home. I found that in Hong Kong, their reactions surprised me in the way that they would just say, okay, sure, give it a try. They would never question why, or if I had an action plan, or whether or not it was feasible, or if I had enough money to achieve the goals that I had in mind. And honestly, most of the time, no, I didn't have an action plan, nor did I have the money to fund exactly what I wanted to do. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I found the greatest support from these people who barely knew me, but were from a different culture. I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, but these people believed that through hard work and a little bit of luck, anything is possible. And that really shocked me. I really grew to appreciate the open-minded side of Hong Kong culture. I found that a lot of Asians in other countries are also the same way. Another thing I really grew to appreciate about Asian culture is that nothing is weird in their eyes. I'll tell you exactly what I'm trying to get at. Do you ever notice that the idea of being cool is huge in North American culture? All over media, it's fed to us growing up. It's just this natural tendency in the culture. It's a natural tendency of North American culture, this very big emphasis on seeming or appearing cool. And yes, that still exists in Asian culture, but I feel like when I was living there, people were just so much more genuine and open in a way, even though they were conservative, because they were just not trying to always enforce this image of being something that they weren't. So they were much more able to take on different lifestyles, different identities, different appearances. This allows for a culture that's really open to new ideas, different types of people. I feel like when I was there, I was able to take on different sides of my personality, because there are parts of me that relate more to Asian culture. they were more open to the fact that you're not from there, and they were more forgiving of my Western ways of living. Another thing that I really enjoyed about living in Asia was that everybody is actually so kind. And I don't mean this on a surface level like in Canadian or American culture where people are just generally nice in their tone and in the way they speak to you. People in Asia really take hospitality and the sense of community seriously. So when you're there, even if you have friends of your parents or friends of your friends, they will treat you like their family. And yes, maybe not to the extent of your own family, but for example, I was able to live at my family friend's place who I barely ever talked to my entire life, and she let me into her home for 6 months, no questions asked. She fed me, she let me stay at her home, she invited me to her big family dinners, and I felt so welcome. This was really eye-opening because I realized she's not the only person that is willing to do that. There were so many people that my parents knew or that my friends knew that were so willing to help me in ways that went above and beyond my imagination. And this was without asking for anything in return. Another thing I loved about Asia, and especially Hong Kong, was that they are so disciplined, and this makes them so good and efficient at their jobs. Every time I went into a store, every time I'm at a restaurant, I was in and out within seconds. This also means that the service is not always necessarily the best, but to be honest, you don't notice the difference that much because most of the time you're focusing on the person you're with anyways. Another benefit of not always questioning things and overthinking like we do a lot here in North America is that your quality of life is honestly higher when you're able to accept things as they are. And I find that in Asian culture, people are really good at that. They are able to accept things just as they are. Although there are certain downfalls, I find that on average, everybody I met were a lot more realistic and able to accept things as they are and move forward in a more practical and realistic way. And that honestly makes their life a lot more hassle-free. Although I'm not someone who's super disciplined, I could really respect the time and effort people took in order to save more time and more effort. One thing I really noticed after living in Hong Kong is how much Canadians and Americans really kind of put themselves in your situation. And I get that that's empathetic, but sometimes this leaves room for a lot of unasked for advice. And it also just adds more stress because these people have all their fears and all their worries, and they kind of just put it on you when you didn't even ask. And that's why I love the fact that Asians aren't always so easy to reveal their opinions and comments, because what if those things weren't even welcome and not going to help you achieve the things that you want to do? I think not enough people talk about this, and that's the benefits of Asian culture being more reserved. They're not as quick to share their opinions and thoughts about different topics and about other people's lives, but I think this is a very good trait because a lot of times in North American culture, people are shoving their opinions down your throat even when you're not asking for it. Sometimes you just need to get something off your chest, or you just want to tell somebody the exciting idea that you had this last weekend. And Asians are super ready to just be supportive and to tell you, hey, that's a really cool idea, go for it. So until next time, I hope you have an iconic week. And if you're thinking of moving to Asia, let me know. I am your #1 supporter. I highly, highly recommend everybody to spend some time in Asia. It's just such a different world. You will thank me later.